This is the Nathan, Nat and Sean podcast.
G'day, Sean McManus here. On February 24, I'm doing my first ever solo swim in this year's Rotto Swim. It's a 19.7k open water swim from Cop Beach to Rottnest Island. That's, of course, if you go on a straight line. This is my road to Rottnest.
Johnny back.
Ross, good to see you again, mate.
Thank you. You too. Hell Week. All right. This is all about Hell Week. We want to dive on into it. So maybe firstly, in general, tell us about Hell Week. What was the plan going in, and maybe how all up was it?
Yeah, so Hell Week was a week where you had to swim 40Ks in the week, and that was broken up into 5K allotments from Monday to Thursday, and then Friday and Saturday were 10K swims.
Wow.
And then Sunday was a day off, which I hadn't seen a day off for quite some time. So anyway, I was able to get through the week of the 5K swims, day in, day out, and then it got to the Friday where we turned up to Leighton Beach, and we were underway at 5:30 in the morning.
What? Is this a 10K?
This is the first 10K, yep.
Oh, and it's in the ocean.
In the ocean, yes.
So you're doing half the Rotto Swim for training.
The idea was to do the length of the Rotto Swim over 2 days. We got underway at 5:30, as I said, and everyone kind of jumped in the water. And we had to swim down from basically Fremantle Surf Lifesaving Club at Leighton Beach down to a place called Dutch Inn, which is a groin in South Cottesloe, and that's 2.5 Ks.
Yep.
So we got out at the 2.5 K mark, and previously to starting at 5:30, I had to drive to that South Cottesloe spot and put some food into the rocks. When I'm talking about food, it was Gatorades and some honey sandwiches and a couple of carbohydrate gels.
So you're like a squirrel hiding food for your break and just digging it in you said the rocks?
Well, the rock wall that was there at the groin, but everyone had done the same. So there was a lot of stuff there when I got there. But
nature's cupboard.
Yeah, so it was about 5:15 in the morning. I remember walking past this guy and I go, "Can you believe we're doing this? This is ridiculous." It was barely a bit of sunlight up at that stage.
So the idea is to swim 2.5 Ks, then eat?
Yeah, and then eat, quickly get out of the water, scull a small Gatorade or a couple of mouthfuls, get a gel into you, straight back in the water, swim down the other end. Of course, everyone's doing this at different times because, there's the fast guys, there's the slower guys.
Where were you in the pack?
I reckon I'm about midfield. Yeah. I'm about a midfielder. And some people really fly through. And the difficulty I found was that there was a big gap between the fast people, which I couldn't keep up with, and then the people who are a bit slower. So you're kind of in this no man's land, and you're swimming in the ocean, and you get a bit worried. You really do.
What are you worried about?
Oh, those big fish that come floating around. You don't know what's coming.
Don't even want to say the word, do you?
Oh, this is the classic, actually. At one stage, I was swimming next to this lady I didn't realise, but I caught up to someone, and it was this lady, Jody, and I was swimming next to her, and we were swimming along, and I felt comfortable that there was someone near me.
Yeah, they can be taken first.
Yeah.
A buffer zone.
But I did swim on the outside of her, and anyway,
chivalrous.
I kept cutting across her. And in the end, she switched to the outside of me because she must have been just getting annoyed by the fact that I was doing that. And the reason why I was doing that was because I predominantly breathe on the right-hand side, but because you get a short shoulder or neck from doing the one side only, I was breathing on my left, cutting across her a little bit. But in the end, so she cut over to the other side, so I wasn't in her way. And then I just thought, now she's not there. I'll just breathe on my left-hand side and give my shoulder a bit of a rest. I end up literally going at a right angle by the time I realised, and I was facing the beach. I nearly beached myself.
You just completely changed course. Angle.
Yeah.
So I guess
absolutely funny.
Because you're just looking down at just sand, right?
Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing.
You're just in the ocean, just flapping your arms around.
Yeah, what an idiot.
Yeah. So you got your food, you did your 2.5 Ks, how'd the other 7 so do you stop every 2.5 Ks?
Yeah, every 2.5. So, back to Leighton, quickly get out, scull, back in.
Was there a second set of food in the rocks that you left?
Yeah, my thing was this little esky that I put everything in.
Okay.
So I just grabbed it in and out and, ate or drank. Quickly, jumped back in the water and swam. I ended up swimming with a couple of guys I caught up with. One guy just, he was always about 20 metres. We started even, but he was always 20 to 30 metres in front of me, which wasn't too bad. And there was another guy that was just a little bit behind me, but it was really, really difficult. I was so wrapped to finish. It's one of the relief you have of finishing, but then getting home knowing that you got to do it again tomorrow.
Oh, that would just be fear.
Yeah, it was. I went over to my brother's house in the afternoon for a barbecue, and I'm the first one to leave. I'm drinking soda water. Everyone thinks I'm a nerd, but it's...
Haven't heard the word nerd since year 12, but thank you, Sean.
But it was one of those things where that doesn't really matter to me because I know that every training session is another brick that I need to put in the wall.
You're sacrificing and doing what you got to do for it.
The Nathan, Nat and Sean podcast.
So after the first 10Ks, firstly, did you think at any time during the 10Ks, like, I'm not going to be able to finish this? And secondly, after that, when you did finish, did you feel a bit more prepared?
I'll start with the first part. So in the first 2.5 Ks, about 1.5 Ks in, I'm thinking, how the hell am I going to do this 4 times? I don't know if I'm going to make it to the one end for a stop. And that was the hardest leg. I reckon that was definitely the hardest leg for me, the first one. Second one, okay, yep. The third one, again, that was okay to a point. And then on the way home, well, I know that I'm finishing. So there's a real positive to the first half of that. But then the closer you get to the end, the harder it gets. Yeah. So the first part of the first one and the last part of the last 2.5 Ks. So that was difficult. When I finished, I just felt relieved that was over. I did not feel that I was closer to swimming to Rottnest at that point in time.
Even though you'd done half of it. You just did half of it. Was that the most you've ever swum, 10Ks?
Yeah, I've done that twice now, 3 times now after the weekend. So it was just the fact that there was another day coming up.
And how did the next day go?
Well, the next day started with 5 Ks in the pool and then 5 Ks down at City Beach. And the first 5 Ks at the pool was pretty good, except for... So it was broken up into 1K versus a variety of stuff. 1K is 5 of them. And the last 1K, I remember I was swimming like second in my lane, and I was feeling like, gee, I'm going all right here. I'm swimming quite strong today. And then it got to the last 1K, which we just had to do 1 straight K, which is 20 laps, obviously. This girl in front of me, Alison, her name was, and she was swimming well, and she said, do you want to go first? And I was like, yeah, I can go first because I'm swimming well today. Anyway, I reckon I'd swum 200 metres and someone ran into me, and I looked up and it was this young guy, Jarvis, who swam past me. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, well, he's been fresh. He's down the back of the pack. And it wasn't until then that I actually looked up and everyone had swum past me and I did not even know. I was going that slow. I must have hit a wall big time. I didn't even know people had swum past me. I was in this la-la land.
Hurt the ego?
I thought I was gone. I thought, geez, I must be absolutely gone, spent. Getting out of the water, getting my car, quickly driving down to City Beach to do another 5 Ks, I'd wonder if, I was going to make it. But once we got down there and got underway, after the first one again, the next 4 1Ks, I managed to get through and get that completed.
So we spoke to your coach the other day and she said some of the mental aspects she uses in her performance when she did the 7-hour swim was she'd break it down to 30-minute blocks. I just need to do this 30 minutes, then the next 30 minutes. Do you do any of that? You finding yourself doing any of that? Or what's technique at the moment in the 10Ks where you really were tested in time and the amount of workload you had ahead of you?
There's a lot of different things I think about, but landmarks are the thing, which is going to be difficult in Rotto, but landmarks are the thing that keep me on track. So, for example, a lot of people have been to Cottesloe Beach. When I'm swimming from Cottesloe Beach north, I know that I can see the building next to the OBH, which is an apartment block.
Yep.
Before then, there's a couple of pine trees that stick out, so I can get to there. Then the next one is the OBH building, and then it's North Cott, and I can pick those spots, and I can see myself moving.
Yep.
When I was swimming at Leighton Beach, now that I've swum a few times, if you've ever been to Leighton Beach, there's an overpass, probably from the surf club. There's an overpass that comes off Stirling Highway. And when I get to that, then I know, okay, then I can get to the next part, which is an above car park, which is, again, got a couple of pine trees.
Yep.
And it's landmarks.
So you are breaking it down, and is it helping?
Yeah, and that helps. I think the difficulty from that point is, Ross, for the first, I think maybe 12 to 14 Ks in Rottnest is no markers.
So are you going to have a time marker, or what's your plan of attack for that? If there's no physical markers, do you have an idea of what you might do there? Someone give you a time call?
My plan is probably to stop every half an hour and have a drink and something to eat. And by eat, I might have a honey sandwich, but for the most part, I'm just going to have some gel shots that are just carbohydrate loaded.
Yep. Okay. So Hell Week's over. Do you feel more prepared?
Probably. I was so relieved afterwards and thought, in 2 days, I swam 20 Ks, which is what you need to do. And at the end of it, I knew that at that stage on Saturday, I thought I can probably make this. And I was so bloody relieved. I was so relieved. I went to Daisy's in Cottesloe on the way home. I got a beef pie. Is at 9:15 in the morning.
Treat yourself.
9:15, I'm getting a pie, and I got a triple chocolate muffin, and I gorged them like you wouldn't believe.
You're
And I did not care for a second.
Yeah, you earned that.
I earned it, and that was amazing. And do I feel like I'm close? Today I didn't. So I had Sunday off, which was an amazing relief. But then I went to the pool today, and such is the mental battle. Sometimes you get a bit soft in your mind because you breathe out, and when you breathe out, you can cause yourself some grief. And today, because I knew today was a lighter week, I really struggled. Any distance was an issue today.
Wow. Well, you did Hell Week, survived. I reckon, but it's the brick. As we're talking about, it's the brick. You got another brick, a strong brick.
Yep.
That's there. And you've done half a Rotto.
Yeah, absolutely. I was looking at this thing the other day, this quote, which is successful people live right on the edge of their limits. And, you know, I was talking about just breathing out there. So this week, I started the week by not living anywhere near my limits, and it becomes really difficult.
Yep.
So if you don't find yourself accountable and keeping up to a standard, and whilst you do have to have days where you aren't going as hard as possible, you've still got to get after it to a degree. And so that'll be the lesson for me tomorrow when I go to the swimming pool. However far it is, I'm going to turn up with the right attitude so it's not as hard as it was today. Keep myself at the limit.
Yep.
And sooner or later, this is all going to be over. You know, I've got another 3.5 weeks, 4 weeks to go, but you can't switch off for a second. You know, I think Michael Phelps, watching this thing of Michael Phelps, never had a day off for 5 years.
Really?
For 5 years.
He did all right, didn't he?
Didn't he?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Good quote to finish on. Shawnee Mac, thank you very much.
Good on you, Ross. Until next time.
Till next time.
Nathan, Nat, and Sean is a Nova podcast. For more great comedy shows like this, head to novapodcasts.com.au. Nova.